In 2024, Africa's AI adoption is expected to grow exponentially in healthcare, financial, education, and agricultural sectors. CNBC Africa's Flora Lemouki spoke to Langlois Meurinne Paul, the CEO and co-founder of Optimetriks based in France, for more insights on potential partnerships between France and Rwanda in the innovation space.
And mobile money is, I think, a very powerful thing to digitize, to make the transaction more efficient, but also to give more transparency, so it gives confidence to whoever wants to lend capital that it will get it back. And so I think that's what we're seeing now, sometimes with also abusive behaviors, but it's being regulated. It's good that you have more capital that goes into funding the credit for individual and businesses. And now any companies that will develop a product will know they can use as the infrastructure mobile money to get paid, so to do cash transfer. So now if you want to do, for example, bulk payment, government to people or as company, you will use mobile money, and it's much more efficient than how it used to be. If you want to collect money with the pay bill, if you are utilities now in Uganda, it's prepaid, so the collection rate by design is very high. So I think it makes much more business that used to be under the profitability line, now profitable. So I think that's very positive and a great example of innovation for the world coming from Africa.
Yes. And let's talk a little bit about artificial intelligence. It's a big conversation in 2024, and specifically generative AI. I understand that Optimetriks is AI-based company. Therefore, how are you utilizing AI to solve real-world problems in the market, specifically in Africa?
Sure. So the way we use AI is in two ways for us. So first will be with image recognition applied to basically out of a picture that is captured by a smartphone of the shelves of a shop, you'll be able to detect automatically the products that are present here. So with that, you can automatically calculate KPIs that are important if you are a sales or marketing director, which are the numerical distribution, the share of shelf. So basically, you'll be able to know in real time, okay, how are my products distributed in all in the supermarket, but also in all the small neighborhood stores. So it means that when a sales representative which goes to a shop, instead of spending 10 or 15 minutes inputting data on his phone, he will just take a picture and spend the rest of the time basically in the human relationship, trying to understand how is the business going for this person, how to convince the retailer to take on maybe more product, to train him. And I think that's really what AI should be about, is that you free the human from the kind of mechanical work, and you leave more time for the human relationship, the human intelligence and understanding. So that's one. And two is about the logistic for optimizing the route of delivery or for a person to serve. So because if as a sales rep you have to visit 1,000 customers, it can be overwhelming. You know, also the cities in Africa develop quite fast and so on. The traffic can be a problem. So with AI, now you have the ability to determine the most optimal, efficient route to use for your vehicle, also in terms of fuel consumption and your time, to know, based also maybe the last time the customers bought from you, to know, okay, what are the top, and your time is limited, right, in terms of driving because of traffic jam. So what are the top 50 customers I need to see today and then tomorrow? And AI is typically this optimization is something that algorithms are good at, taking into account business factors, real-time data like traffic. And so as a business owner, it means you're more efficient operationally.
You mentioned something about human intelligence and AI. How do we then ensure that artificial intelligence comes in to complement humanity and not really to take up what human beings can do?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think it's an assistant. It's something which can be, which can really is good at automating things, right? But not maybe analyzing or judging. And when it comes to business relationship, there's still this aspect of being able to determine. So AI is good to automate some tasks, and I think it's a great opportunity for Africa to embrace it. But we need to be careful about not substituting everything. Now, when it comes to the African context, I think it's important that we know that it's going to be like cloud computing where or such big with the GAFA and big infrastructure. that Africa managed to speak in one voice to make so that the models are trained on African data when it comes to, because this model relies a lot on text for now, so it's important that they are relevant when it comes to, we saw the issue with face detection and so on, so that it does not introduce or reproduce some bias in the training of the model. Because they are as intelligent as the data that they were trained on, and also that somehow they can be some companies that benefit in Africa from this wave of technology, so they are not left out. Yeah.
Yes, and the issue of ethical use of AI comes in whenever there's new technology that needs to incorporate AI in it. Therefore, as Optimetriks, how are you ensuring that there is ethical use of AI to also prevent the privacy, avoid bias mitigation, and also the transparency of the customers?
Yeah, it's a good point. I think overall, to start with, also in AI, there have been some positive signs of interest and investment by companies like Google or Amazon or Facebook investing in Ghana, Kenya, some countries in Africa, and so I think that's positive. Of course, AI can introduce some bias. So, and when it comes to data protection, I think we've seen recently more and more regulations around the use of data and privacy. And I think it's also a risk that some actors think that take advantage of the lack of regulation in Africa sometimes to try models that wouldn't work. It has happened, for example, when you look at sport betting or maybe the lending to customers. Clearly, there has been sometimes companies that have abused kind of looser regulatory framework, and so that's something that we need to be careful about AI, and also the fact that AI can be used to manipulate the opinion when it comes to deepfake. We've seen it in India and in the context of elections. We see, and in the context also where the education can be sometimes faulty. And frustration in terms of the civil societies. We need to be careful that there are it's not a hotbed of fake news production, also of scam, and it can be used for criminality. So I think it's a dangerous weapon, and needs to, there are benefits, but to make also the SMEs and business more efficient and all of that, but it can also be a risk. Yeah.